Yeah, so obviously the 2020 winter was a little longer than most winters with COVID. We technically had a full year to do work on both of the boats. And I think that's going to be great for not only our team, but all of H1 teams in general, right? A lot of time to reset, take a look at resources and inventory, and hopefully get the quality of the equipment up for all the teams. As far as the Miss HomeStreet and the Miss Madison racing team, we did a good bit of work. The boat actually fared really well in the 2019 season. There was not much to repair on the boat itself, and it was mostly just normal maintenance of engines, gearboxes, take all the hardware off the boat, get it all inspected, look for cracks, look for stuff that might be stretching or moving. And we did all that pretty much right after the 2019 season. And so for us, it's been a pretty uneventful off season. We have worked and made some progress on spare parts. So in the little bit of time that we have worked on the boats, we put it in towards spare uprights, spare fairings, all the little knick-knack pieces that go on the boat. We want to make sure that we have enough spares for the next couple race seasons, hopefully. And so we focused on wings, we focused on tie rods for skid fins, we focused on hardware for the boat, and that's pretty much been it. The last couple weeks here, we've actually been really gearing up. So it's a good feeling. It feels like we're actually going to have a race season and things are almost back to normal. It's nice to see crew back in the shop working, and the Miss HomeStreet boat is pretty much all ready to go for the 2021 season, so we're looking forward to another great season. Goals for the Miss HomeStreet for the 2021 season are the same as they always are, which is a good thing to say. Obviously, our number one goal is a national championship. That is what our team strives for every season. We would love to win a few races, getting to hopefully accomplish that goal in 2021. And really just do what we've been doing. Keep the tradition rolling with the Miss Madison race team, keep the sponsors happy, and keep the fans engaged. It's going to be an interesting transition coming out of COVID for probably a lot of the fans, and we're hoping that hopefully that's as smooth of a transition as we can get. We want to see people out at the race sites, we want to interact with them, we want to be face to face with them, and so our goal is to get as many people out at the race sites in 2021 that we can, and we want them to see boat racing back on the water. I would say what excites me the most about the 2021 season is the level of competition that we are going to see in the sport. I'm really excited to see what boats are going to be out there racing at what levels, because I don't think there's ever been a time in the sport that I can think of recently where the quality of boats are going to be so high. And I think that is due to having that much time off and people getting to work on their stuff, teams and crews. And, it was always challenging because last race this season was San Diego, saltwater race. You pretty much had to tear the boat completely apart to maintenance all that hardware. And then for 9 years straight, we were going over to Qatar in what would have been our off season. So really there hasn't been much of a chance for teams to really settle down, get a good look at everything, and work on their stuff. Now that we've had that time, I think this is going to be one exciting season. I cannot wait to race deck to deck with hopefully a number of boats this season. My first memory of even seeing an Unlimited was right where I'm sitting here today in the former Miss Budweiser shop. It was the year 2000, I believe, 2000 or 2001, and I had already been racing for a number of years, but because I raced in Maryland on the East Coast, I never got to interact or be in the environment of where the Unlimited races were. And so the very first time I even saw an unlimited boat was 2000 or 2001. It was right here, right where I'm sitting in this very shop, and it was the Miss Budweiser. It was the T5 hull. And what was very cool about that is the very first boat that I got to drive was that boat, that hull. And that was in Salina, Ohio, I believe. My favorite boat growing up, as far as any type of hydroplane racing or boat racing in general, I would say I probably had two. My most favorite boat would be my dad's, the Hijacker. It was a 145 cubic inch inboard hydroplane. I grew up watching hundreds and hundreds of video hours of him racing the boat, and I didn't know any different. That's the environment I was brought up in. And so, hands down, my favorite boat, my dad's Hijacker inboard hydroplane. And then I always liked people that thought outside the box and wanted to do something different. And so the other one for me, it was a boat called the Dragonfly, and it was a Y boat at the time. So I believe it was a 850cc hydro. And that boat was a West Coast boat. It was built out here, and it was really built to set the straightaway record, the kilo record in the Y class inboard hydroplanes. And that boat was so unique. It was 18 foot long. It literally looked like a dragonfly's body, which is why it was named the Dragonfly. And that boat broke the straightaway record for the Y class, but it looked nothing like the other boats on the water. And he actually did try to race it. I believe his name was Steve Ball, was the owner of that boat, maybe the builder as well. But the Dragonfly would be my second favorite boat for sure, growing up. Mine would be later than some of the vintage boats that we call nowadays, and way older than what the modern boats are nowadays. So in my era, I would have to say my favorite unlimited hydroplane was the Winston Eagle. I love the colors, I love the sponsor. Not that I like smoking or anything like that when I was a kid growing up, but just love the aura of that boat. It was such a cool boat, such a cool paint scheme, and it was a cool boat to watch on the water. Favorite driver growing up? My dad, of course. I never got to really watch him race very much. Only when I started racing, he was transitioning out pretty much. So my favorite driver inboards would be my dad. Favorite driver unlimiteds? That's a tough one because, like I said, didn't really have that much unlimited experience at a younger age. I would have to say my favorite driver, probably the one that I tried to take the most from, was Steve David. The fans loved him. He was an aggressive driver. He represented the sport very well. It was in my time era of watching boats, so I'd have to say Steve David. Let me think about how many unlimited boats I've driven. You know, this is gonna sound probably kind of interesting. My favorite unlimited boat was probably the first boat that I got qualified in. It was an older Leland hull for Ted Porter. After Mike Allen had gotten hurt from blowing over in Detroit, I got the call as the backup driver to come out to Tri-Cities, and I ran that Leland boat. It was kind of a good experience for me because my first two rides in Unlimiteds were in the former Miss Budweiser equipment. So everything was like pristine and perfect, and the boat handled absolutely perfect. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Like, whew, this is going to be a breeze to race Unlimiteds. And then I got in that Leland boat, and I realized this is really what Unlimited racing is really like. The thing that made that boat so cool for me, in my experience racing it, was I went out of the pit area in Tri-Cities and I took it easy up the backstretch, and I rounded the nice smooth corner, and then I was like, oh, I got this. I've been in these boats before. I legged it. I pushed the throttle pedal all the way down, that boat got up off the water and the sponsons started moving and gyrating and bouncing, and I was like, oh, I don't feel as comfortable as I did just a few seconds ago. And then I got down to the rough corner, and that was when I really got to feel what an unlimited boat feels like. The weight of that boat, the hitting those waves in that first corner in Tri-Cities, that was a very interesting experience for me, for sure. Okay, favorite race course for inboards? Boy, I've raced at a lot of them. My favorite one was probably either Cambridge, Maryland, or Hampton, Virginia. I really liked Hampton, Virginia. They had the national championships there for a few years for inboards. What made Hampton unique was it was kind of like a mini San Diego, is what I would compare it to. Really pretty smooth water, but there was a bridge and it had a inlet to get into the little bay that we raced in, and that was on the front stretch. And so you would come around for the start, and the second you hit the start-finish line, that breeze would be coming through the underpass, under the bridge, and it felt like San Diego, where the cut is, where the pass is. And so the whole boat would just lift up on the right-hand side, and you just have to ride it out down the whole straightaway pretty much. And so Hampton, Virginia was probably my favorite one in inboards. Unlimiteds, the most challenging for inboards. Most challenging for inboards, definitely there's one that really sticks out. A race course called Mays Landing, New Jersey. It might have been a half-mile course, maybe 5/8 of a mile, and we called it the Toilet Bowl because literally you would run 4 or 5 laps around that thing in maybe 2 minutes in an inboard boat, and the water would just get, literally just chopped up so fast. That would be the most challenging race course for the inboard boats, was Mays Landing, New Jersey. And then for Unlimiteds, my favorite, I love Tri-Cities. Tri-Cities is a great course. It's got 2 different corners on it. It's got really long straightaways. You're close to the shoreline, you're close to the fans. I love how the fans interact at that race too. You know, you come down and you start slowing down after the start-finish line after a race, and you can almost literally hear. I can hear the fans on the shoreline. Same thing at Madison. It's cool to see the fans from the shoreline. And then most challenging is definitely Detroit for me. That was the most challenging. The straightaways aren't straight. The corners aren't symmetric. And it is definitely a driver's course. The river will, as many people have said in the past, the river can beat you on that race course. And so you have to use your head when you're racing on that body of water on the Detroit River. 2012 Tri-Cities, first race win. I don't remember too much. It was kind of a blur weekend. It was one of those events where after I had finished the final heat, I didn't even know if I won or not. I didn't know what was going on. I radioed into the crew. I was like, what happened? I don't even know what happened. What's going on? And finally, when I pulled around and slowed the boat down by the bridge and started coming back into the dock, I heard the crew. And then I looked up and they were jumping up and down on the dock, and I was like, oh, cool, I guess we won the race. That's pretty awesome. I think I did a little more than that, but we'll just go with we'll go with that. That was my reaction in the cockpit. I will always remember that feeling of seeing the crew coming back to the dock and seeing the joy in their faces, because it is extremely hard to win an unlimited boat race, and you only get so many chances, and so you have to take full advantage of it. And we definitely celebrated that win that night. Maybe that's why I don't remember too much of the race. My welcome to the Unlimited's moment would say, I would say there was an announcement after Mike Allen had crashed the boat. even before that, there was the few, times that I hopped in and did the test runs in this lineup, but they were pretty low key. I would say my welcome was there was an article put out in Tri-Cities, and it said, new upcoming driver, taking on his first race in Tri-Cities. And I don't remember which newspaper wrote it, but I was like, oh man, like, this is it. I'm in. Like, I'm part of the club now. This is cool. I would say that would be my welcome to the Unlimited moment, was seeing that article with all of my accomplishments leading up from the Inboard classes, and realizing like, okay, it's time. Here we go. Let's start this Unlimited journey. Someone that I raced against in Inboards that never had a chance in the Unlimiteds, that probably should have. There's a number of them. There was a number of racers throughout my years in many different classes that would have done very, very well in Unlimiteds. And Unlimiteds are kind of tough because it's a different, you have to take a different approach. It's not just the driving. It's a package deal, and owners are gonna look at the package and what even the driver, not just driving, but what can they bring to the team as far as sponsorship, what can they bring to the team as far as crew, what can they bring, monetary wise, funding, and there's a number of drivers that fit that package that I raced against. Probably the ones that stick out in my head, there's a few in Canada that I feel were some of the best drivers that I raced against. Claude Bergeron, Pierre Mayhew. I'm glad that Patrick has made it up and got his shot. Patrick would have been one of the ones that if he didn't get in Unlimited, I would have said, man, Patrick really should be there. There was one, Eric LaBelle. He raced really, really aggressively. Norm Ensbury up in Canada. All of those people would have fit the package. Some of the younger ones that I raced against that might still have an opportunity in the future. There's still opportunity for them. Brandon Kennedy, very aggressive, very good. He's won Valleyfield Grand Prix a few times. That's a huge accomplishment. I think my dad would have done pretty well in the Unlimiteds. But he was very comfortable just racing the Inboard, so maybe that's just well suited for him. So off the top of my head, that would be a few that in my generation that I feel would have done really well in the Unlimiteds. '21 Gold Cup in Madison, Indiana. No added pressure, none at all. I'm sure it'll be just another race weekend for the Miss Madison and the Miss HomeStreet racing team. Obviously, I'm joking. It's going to be a huge weekend, being the 50th anniversary of Jim McCormick's win. I think you can look back in history and see the video. You can see the movie, the Madison movie, what it meant to the people, not only of that town, but to the sport as a whole. And to be in a position to represent Miss Madison Racing on the 50th anniversary, it's going to be an honor to be there. It's going to be an honor to racing for Miss Madison, and hopefully it's going to be rewarding to put my name on the 2021 Gold Cup again in Madison, Indiana.